G'day, I'm Greg and welcome to RevShed Performance. This should be part 3 of the poor man's flow bench, and what we're going to do now is we're going to do a calibration check, get it near enough set up on the exhaust side, and we'll show you how we're going to do that and what we need to do that. So before we get too carried away, we'll talk about the manometer. The manometer, before I spoke about negative pressure, positive pressure here, we've changed the hose because we're going from intake, which we were running at a negative pressure, to exhaust, positive pressure. So we will plug that in down here, which you probably can't see. We'll get a shot of it in a bit when I'll move the camera. So we've got that. Hang on, I guess I'm going to be 7/16 because I don't want that later on. This here is our exhaust sensor, and what I have done with that is I've added a bit of tape here, because if I haven't got a bit of tape on here it just blows the slip joint off. So we're going to put that on, again paying particular attention to this is facing up. Now, trusty old blower fan unit. I must show you my original flow bench later on. We were using this being the intake. We're now going to use this for the exhaust. And again, we're going to set up a 600th hour, because at 600th hour, what we know is that port dynamic, rented lips, they never work as well as your own. Port dynamics are the biggest single factor, as opposed to valve seat and valve angles and those types of things. So I'll slip this in here, turn this on, set 0, where 0 10,000ths of an inch. We will now go, we'll come back and make sure, yeah, that is 0. We're down the bottom here, I get a 1/2 10,000th of an inch indication. We'll go to 600. .430. Now this is just a 1/4 screw. It doesn't matter what you use when you're using a dial gauge, but what I could have done is with a 1/4 I could just simply count the number of turns, because 5 times 20 is 100, which will give me 100th hour. So providing I was adequately careful on my turns, I could be going down 5 turns or 2.5 turns for a 50th hour or whatever. So we'll turn this back on and we will check what the area is. And it's probably 10 point something square feet, 10.76 square feet. This thing annoys me because it always defaults to that and it drives me insane. So now we'll go through the process of resetting it. So I want 0.013, which is what we had for the intake. So 0.132. .09. .013, I'll press the menu button. Okay, we have power on the manometer. That's right, that's right. We'll have a look at what you can see. There is how the blower fan's set up. We'll bring you back up to there. Oops. Okay. Oh 0600 0.013. Okay, let's take a reading. We'll call that 100 at 9.9, or was it 9.5? 100 at 9.5. Okay, so let's do a calculation. About 200 messages have popped up on my phone. Awesome. We'll worry about them later. Okay, 28 divided by 9.5. Enter. Square root, answer, enter. 100. 100 times answer, enter. So that's 171.6. So we got 171.6, and according to the Standwise website, we should be seeing, assuming that all other things being equal, we should be seeing 172 at 600. So we're 0.04 off what's expected. All right, that's just on a single test. What we'll do now is we'll go to 500. At 500, we should be getting 153, thereabouts. It's a different cylinder head. It could be the same, it could be further away. Let's come back to 500 and see where we are. $4.99, 500. We'll call that 90 at 9.5. So we'll see where that ends up. So again, we'll go through it. Just not that I need to, but 28 divided by 9.5, 95 divided by 9.5. Enter. Square root of answer. Enter. 90 times answer, or you can do answer times 90. So we've got 154.5 CFM. And the Superflow 600 tested it at 153 at 500. This head hasn't even been cleaned up. It is, for the purposes of the exercise, the numbers we have are adequately close for you to be able to go and do a flow test, which is what we will do later on. We'll do that in the next episode, but we'll talk a little bit about this a little bit more about this. The very first flow bench I ever built was one of these Hyperflow. They no longer exist, but you can find this document on the web in PDF form. If you look up Hyperflow flow benches, Hyperflow Engineering, Southwest HBR, Main, Unleash the Power, How to Build a Flow Bench. It actually gives you some information on airflow test pressures, on how to build your scales, how to build your manometers. My original bench I built as an orifice bench, and it was a cross between a Superflow 110 and one of these, because I managed to get some a PDF copy of the Superflow. And what I used to do with it, we'll take that off. Take that off so I don't drop that on the ground. This is a little bit different. I don't know if you can see this, but this used to slip, have an elbow on the end, and this here was set up something like that orientation. Obviously they're on centerline, and what I could do was I could, if I had it drawing from here and blowing out here, I could be doing exhausts. To do intakes, I just slipped it out of the connectors into the side of the bench and put it in the other way around, reversed it. And that worked reasonably well, but the problem is that you draw air, cooling air for the fan motor through here, so you had unmetered air going through the system. So that's why you can see these tape marks. So you used to have to tape the fan off. The cooling fan off of the motor. And that meant that I could only run for a short duration whilst taking measurements. The other problem is that because you're only flying at 10 inches, 7 inches, 9 inches, whatever you were flying at, 6 inches, the problem is that you couldn't get good airspeed readings because the airspeed readings are all based on 28 inches, and we'll go into that a bit more, but at 10 inches, 7 inches, whatever, the air will follow a radius a lot easier than it will when it's going faster, and so it'll overshoot a radius and reduce the effective cross-sectional area of your port. But we'll talk about that a bit more later on from a theoretical point of view. But yeah, all right. This one's just going to be short. What we'll do now is we'll stop this one, this video, and the next video we'll do a flow test on the exhaust because we're set up for the exhaust. Go and compare it against the documented numbers, and then what we'll do is we will come back on the next video and we'll do a flow test on the intake, and we'll compare that against the documented numbers. So thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe. Hope you've got hope you've got a good handle on this. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to ask.